Hey guys, welcome back. And today it's Friday, and you know what we got to get into? Ooh, our little Britney. Our Britney. Oh my God. Girl got herself arrested, a DUI, and yeah, a lot of people are saying, what's going to happen next? Well, I'm pretty sure I know. So watch this clip. I will catch you on the flip, and we will discuss after.
In the meantime, former pop princess turned hibachi knife wielding recluse Britney Spears was arrested in California Wednesday night on suspicion of driving under the influence. The 44-year-old was later released from custody and has a court date set for May 4th. The baby hit me baby one more time. Singer's erratic behavior caused her family to place her in a 13-year conservatorship, which was overturned in 2021 after the Free Britney movement pushed for her freedom. So how did the pop icon go from selling over 100 million records, sold out Vegas residency, and estimated net worth of 130 million to dancing with knives on Instagram and a DUI? It's actually quite sad. Joining me now is News Nation entertainment correspondent Paula Froelich. Good to see you, Paula. You reported last year that after Britney Spears and her ex, Kevin Federline, released a tell-all book where he accused her of substance abuse and neglecting their two sons, you talked all about that friends and family were worried that she would spiral out of control. Is that what we're seeing here?
Absolutely, Katie. She's had a really rough time ever since. But really, it started at the end of the conservatorship. She stopped taking all of her meds and kind of became a recluse, as you discussed, and doesn't really trust anyone. And there's not a lot of people around her that she allows in on the regular basis who really can tell her no, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, in her own memoir, which was called The Woman in Me, she talked about the control that her father had over her life as an adult, her money, and even, of course, the medication, as you just mentioned, that she was on, which is why she fought herself to have the conservatorship dropped. This DUI and arrest has fans wondering if that was the wrong decision.
Here's the deal. I don't think it was at the time, because when she was on her meds, she was clear, she was lucid, and she made a great case for herself. And frankly, her father should have never been involved with the conservatorship. It should have been somebody appointed by the court. Now, do I think it may happen again? I do think that there's a chance because of something that her rep said. Now, the rep has come out after this arrest and said that this was an unfortunate and inexcusable act of her driving erratically. And then I have to read this verbatim because it's very interesting. There's a lot of clues in here. It says, it's the first step in a long overdue change that needs to occur in Britney's life. Hopefully she can get the help and support she needs. Her boys will be spending time with her, and her loved ones are going to come up with an overdue, needed plan to set her up for success for her well-being, which
Interesting.
kind of sounds to me like something's in the works.
Yeah, and speaking of things being in the works, last month, Britney Spears sold her entire music catalog for about $200 million. That was what was reported. And without being on tour, is there concern that she's maybe going bankrupt?
So here's the deal. There is some concern. However, Britney doesn't really spend a lot of money. We see her always, she's in her house. She doesn't spend a lot of money on clothes. What she does spend money on are vacations and jets and boats, which we have also seen her on quite a bit. And she has enough coming in to cover that. So I don't think she'll be going broke anytime soon, as long as there are people around her looking out for her.
Yeah, I feel sorry for her. I think it's really hard
100%.
for people like this to find anyone who can actually help them because they can't trust anybody.
Including
Paula,
their family.
exactly. Well, we'll be watching Paula Froelich. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Katie.
Have a good one.
All right, so we're going to have to go through some of this stuff again because Britney, Wednesday night around 9 o'clock, stopped by the California Highway Patrol. She was driving erratically, she was swerving. They stopped her and they gave her a breathalyzer, whatever. Now, technically, she was under the legal alcohol limit, but they noticed substances in her car. Things were so bad that by 3 a.m. on Thursday, she had actually been booked and was not released until 6 a.m. this entire time. Apparently, she was very upset. She was crying, freaking out. Frankly, not blaming her. as would I. But, it's one of these things where we're all just kind of going, well, you caught her this time. Clap, I guess, because here's the deal. She's been caught by paparazzi and by regular passerbys drinking a lot, driving erratically, swerving, and honestly, I'm glad she was caught because at this point, it was only a matter of time until someone got hurt, and thankfully, they stopped it before she did. Now, she does have a court case coming up. I believe it is May 4th. So we will hear and see more from them. This is what I think is going to happen. When you get a DUI, the court usually goes easier on you if you go into some sort of rehab or if you show you want to get better. All right. It's happened to family members of mine. You show you want to get better, you have a plan, and then the court's like, okay, I think you're taking this seriously. All right. I mean, at this point, I don't know if she should have her license, but that's okay. This is technically the first time she's been stopped in a while. She has had other instances before. Oh, God, poor Britney. I mean, you know what's even worse? This is the part that freaking kills me. Under occupation, when they booked her, they put celebrity. They didn't put singer. They didn't put performer. They put celebrity. Oh, and let me tell you why that's bad, because that's a demotion. It's a massive demotion from pop princess or singer or performer or whatever. Celebrity is like an influencer, right? It's just, oh God, it hurts my heart. And listen, I need to go through this actual statement again from her rep, aka her manager. All right. Now, this is important for many reasons because there are many underlying things going on here. All right. So it says this is an unfortunate incident that is completely inexcusable. Let's break that down. That is for the court to say it's inexcusable. She says it's inexcusable. We're acknowledging it. It won't happen again. Fingers crossed. Britney is going to take the right steps to comply with the law, and hopefully this can be the first step in a long overdue change that needs to occur in Britney's life. All right, so we're going to break that down. We've got more, but hold on. So she's been out of the conservatorship for a couple years, and we've all seen her on Instagram, and she spends hours in tiny little outfits, dancing around either on a stripper pole or just doing some weird moves for the camera that I think she thinks is sexy, but they're not. She spends a lot of time with nip slips. There was a really recent one. It happened about a week ago that, I mean, my jaw hit the floor. It was like, whoa. The boobs were out. She was in a thong, and she just looked like she hadn't showered in days, and her makeup was running, and she was just, really performing. But for no one was really watching. It was odd. There was no one else in the home. So, and I've heard from friends, she is very paranoid. I understand. I get it. But at the same time, this is a girl who hasn't really let a lot of people in for good reason. She had a housekeeper. Her housekeeper said, "You're lonely. Let me introduce you to my son." That was Paul Soliz. Remember that guy? Ugh. Like, he just reeked of con man. He also had kids he didn't support. He wanted to move them in. He wanted Britney to support them. Then they got into that huge fight at the Chateau Marmont where, police were called because apparently there was like $30,000 worth of damage in the hotel room. Of course, Britney comes out and says, "I was just twirling, you guys. Oh my God, nothing." But, at some point you got to be like, "Britney, I don't believe you anymore. That's just impossible." Because everyone heard that fight. They saw the ambulance come. You were not looking good. You were disheveled. She wasn't really dressed. She had like a comforter around her. They swept her away, put her into her house, and then said, okay, everything's okay. But was it? So after the Chateau Marmont, Britney gets swept away to her house. Her brother comes. Her mother flies in. You know, the relationship with her mother, not good. Her kids are kind of around. She settles down for a bit, and then bad things start happening again. You know, she does have a history of drug and alcohol abuse in the past. These things are not easy to get over, especially by yourself, especially when you're isolated. You're not in a support group. You're not surrounded by sober people or have a sober companion. It's a problem. And unfortunately, it kind of led us to where we are now. And again, the statement, overdue change that needs to happen in Britney's life. I think we're about to see a lot of change. We'll get into that in a second. The statement goes on to say, hopefully she can get the help and support she needs during this difficult time. Her boys are going to be spending time with her. Her loved ones are going to come up with an overdue needed plan to set her up for success and her well-being. All right. Do I think Jamie's going to start another conservatorship? Absolutely not. He's out. He got roasted. All right. And here's the deal. During the Free Britney movement, Britney was having her meds on a regular basis, and she sounded lucid. She sounded great. And everyone was like, why is this girl why is she on a conservatorship? She wants to live her life. Let her go get married to Sam Asgari. They took her off the conservatorship. She stopped taking her meds. She got married to Sam. That ended, and it ended badly. And I don't blame Sam. Here's the deal. Sam actually was quite sweet, and he wanted to protect her. He has never said anything bad. He didn't get really a penny out of her. I think he got the Doberman. That was their dog. Later gave the Doberman away. Dobermans are a lot. I get it. But she then spiraled. I think Sam was the last of the gatekeepers. Now, I am concerned because her boys, they are young, and they've been put through a lot with the divorce, with her manic episodes. Let's not forget Kevin Federline's book. And yes, I know it's Kevin Federline, all right? However, in the book, he talks about how the boys did not want to spend time with her. And it's true, they did not. She didn't see them for many years. And he talks about how they would wake up and she'd be in the doorway holding a knife in her hand. We know she does love to play with knives. She's danced with them. And unfortunately, you know, they're traumatized by their own relationship with their mother. They feel guilt. They feel like they want to have a relationship. And it's just very hard. And here's the reason. Britney is a grown-ass woman. By date only. Yes, she is over 18. Yes, she is in her 40s. But mentally, she is very childlike. And it is really, really difficult for children who want a mother to have to deal with a childlike parent. So, getting back to the statement where it says an overdue needed plan to set her up for success and her well-being. I think there will be a conservatorship-lite. I think somebody will make sure she gets her meds. I think somebody will try to get her into a treatment program and really ensure that the bad characters that constantly hang around her are no longer there. Because as we all know, what was she doing with substances? You can't just go into a Quickie Mart and say, hey, can I have some substances? May or may not be legal. Can I get some? No, you can't. You need either prescriptions, if they're prescription substances, or you need a dealer. And as we've seen in the past with all kinds of celebrities, the dealers remember their good clients. And they always try to keep in touch. And they'll always find a way back in. So, yes, I think better security needs to happen. I think that the family will come up with something. They're going to take a step back because nobody wants the shitstorm that landed on Jamie Spears' head during that whole conservatorship. But I think guardrails will be put in place. And they're also concerned because, yes, she did sell her catalog for 250, 260 million. All right. And you and I both know she ain't going to be working anytime soon. All right. I mean, this is not a girl who can complete a tour right now. She can't come up with new music on her own. Not to mention, in order to tour, you have to have somebody who will insure you, and she is uninsurable right now. So that ain't happening. Basically, she's got 250, 260 million. Now, for us, that's generational wealth, all right? That's many generations. However, for somebody like Britney who's got bad actors around, it can be gone pretty soon. To be fair, all she really does is spend her money on vacations. Granted, they are 5-star, $300,000 at a time vacations. However, it's not like she's going out shopping, and we've all seen the snippets of her house. She ain't buying insane stuff. Okay, she drives like a BMW. It's great, but it ain't like a $250,000 car. Thankfully, she hasn't wrecked it yet, so she's not getting another one. You know, these things are going on. Now, she was under a conservatorship for a long time, starting in 2008. You'll remember after her and Kevin broke up, she went off the rails, shaved her head. There were allegations of drug and alcohol abuse. She was put under the conservatorship. Then she fought to get out of it, again, with the help of Free Britney. And to be fair, I also thought she should get out of it. After hearing the tape, I was like, this girl is pretty damn lucid. All right, what the hell's she doing? Unfortunately, it hasn't really lasted. Let's be clear, you know, and since then, she's had a lot of problems since getting out of the conservatorship. I mean, just in the last year alone, there have been over a dozen calls to 911 from her house. Now, some of them were for trespassers. Some of them are for stalkers because we know she got the crazy fans. Some of them also are for her own welfare, though, and that is deeply, deeply concerning. Again, we are not dealing with a girl who's a Mensa candidate here. Not that that's anything bad. I'm not Mensa either. However, we are dealing with somebody who might have the emotional maturity of possibly a 13 or a 14-year-old and intellectual maturity of someone the same age. This is putting it nicely. So, you know, it's very, very difficult. And it's also been difficult for all of us to see her daily habit of twirl, 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 and weird, sexy moves that aren't sexy. They're just distressing to pretty much everyone. You know, it's been crazy. And then don't forget October 25, the swerving incident where paparazzi obtained the video of her swerving. She had had drinks. November 2025, she was at a wine bar, looked completely out of it. Now, and by out of it, I mean drunk. People at the time were like, no, she wasn't drinking. But I'm going to be honest with you. I've been to LA many times. And if a celebrity calls up an establishment and says, say I wasn't drinking, they'll say you weren't drinking also because it makes them look bad because then she got into a car after and drove away. So they could also be facing issues if they said she was drinking. A lot of this, people are putting the blame on Kevin Federline's autobiography. All right. Now, I did break the news that her family, her friends, and even she was bracing herself for the release of his biography last year. And it was bad. As we've discussed, it wasn't great for her, and she has been in kind of a spiral ever since. But here's the deal. You and I have had bad things happen. We've had to pick ourselves up. She doesn't know how to not spiral. She needs new tools in her tool belt, if you know what I mean. She needs self-soothing tools, something that doesn't involve lingerie and a pole. She also, frankly, needs to shower and bathe on a regular basis. And, you know, I know this may sound harsh. My heart goes out to her. I feel like we've all been at rock bottom, but she's been at rock bottom a few times, and there's no net right now. And hopefully, with the statement that her manager has put out, there will be a net in place. We are not talking about somebody who should be fully confined or her freedom taken away. Absolutely not. But nets should be placed around the building, if you know what I mean. And I don't know. I want to say yes, she's had a rough time. Yes, she has literally been betrayed by almost everyone in her life. Her parents, who used her to make their rent when she was a little kid. Her sister, who used her to try to get her own career. All of her exes, including Justin Timberlake, who, here's a fun little fact. Remember that hideous interview that Diane Sawyer did with Britney that Britney has talked about, that it just killed her? Because Diane looked at her and said, "Did you break Justin's heart? Did you cheat on Justin?" Here's a fun fact. At the time, Justin and Britney had the same PR person. Not mentioning names. They had the same PR person. The PR person knew they had split, and was going to back Justin. Justin was launching his solo career, all right? This is important because during that interview that the PR person set up with Britney for Diane, the PR person gave Diane those questions to ask. These were not questions that Diane had prepared. The PR person said, "Here, you should ask her this." How's that for being sold out? Then, of course, because of her memoir, The Woman in Me, we all know exactly how Justin treated her. Hey, get the abortion. Hey, goodbye. See you later. Hey, I cheated on you. Bye. But now I'm going to make you look like the slut. I can't stand that kid. Really? I mean, I'm kind of glad he got his own last year. And let's hope it keeps going. However, then she had Kevin Federline. I mean, Kevin is Kevin. But at the end of the day, you know what he was? He might have been a creep. He might have just been a backup dancer who used her to be a rapper. Turns out he was a pretty good dad to those two boys, so I can't spank him too much. Then everyone else in her life, she's the housekeeper. Here, date my son. Ugh. I mean, we've seen pictures of that guy. I wish I could show you, but I can't afford the Getty. But here's the deal. Who can she trust? At this point, it should have been a court-appointed guardian to say, we're going to do this. We're going to set up a medication schedule. We're going to set up an AANA schedule. We're going to maybe just surround you with some people that you can trust, that have been pre-vetted. And you know what? This is what I'm hoping happens because, again, left to her own devices, she's not okay. People seem to forget. What was it? Oh, here we go. May last year. This is even before Kevin's book came out. May last year, on a private jet with her security from Cabo San Lucas, she started drinking heavily while flying home, lit up a cigarette, lit it mid-flight. Now, the drinking, the private jet probably been like, all right, whatever, she's going to drunk. If she vomits, there's a toilet, that's fine. However, international FAA rules, you cannot smoke on a plane. You cannot light up on a plane. They told her to put it out. There was an issue. They did have to call the cops. She did put the cigarette out. The cops still showed up and confronted her when she landed, and she was reportedly issued a warning and then let go free. Again, I bring this up just to say, left to her own devices, Britney is not okay. She needs a safety net, and I think that's what's about to happen. So, cross our fingers, guys. I'm a huge Britney fan, but I also want her to be okay. All right, let me know what you think. Drop your comments below, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.